When we last met, you gave us clarity on the issue PLE Computers has with reconciling large supplier statements and the time this takes you. I'd like to show you a solution we have created to address this problem and that we have already costed into the proposal provided. Before looking at our solution, let's first look at how payments are manually created in Wise. I go to my browser and I've already logged into Wise. I go through cash management, payment journals, and I get to choose from one of three templates what type of payment I'd like to make. I'm going to use the general template, and in here is where I enter the payment lines that I want to do. I'm only going to do one payment in this demonstration, and we'll pay a company called Worldwide Importers. Select them. I then go through and select which invoices from Worldwide Importers I want to pay. So I go down, maybe choose that invoice, and if we say apply that invoice to the payment, we might want to choose that invoice and apply that to the payment, etc. Now, to replicate your problem, I have loaded in well over 1,000 invoices into our system for Worldwide Importers, and it will take a very long time to go through and match those against the statement they provide. So let's delete that payment, and I'll show you how we will do it in our solution. So go through, delete that payment, and you'll see we have no payments in there. And I'll go back to the home page. Now let's look at a supplier statement. To do that, I've got one in Excel. I'm going to open up that supplier statement, and I understand that PLE can request the statements in whatever format they wish from their suppliers, be it XML, JSON, etc. I've just created one in Excel for simplicity, and in the statement you can see I have for every transaction the date, the document type, a reference, description, and an amount. And to represent the challenge that you have, I've created over 1,000 lines in this statement. So there's our supplier statement that we're going to work with and reconcile. Now let's have a look at our solution. I'm going to open up our template in Excel, and you can see I've been working on a much smaller statement just for some testing purposes. I'll clear that out of the screen, and let's have a look at what we have. The header information I put at the top here specifies what the payment details are. So we are paying it from PLE Computers. There's our supplier code, 40,000. I'll keep the same supplier code. In here we can say, well, let's only pay invoices up to a particular date. You can put whatever date you choose in there. What is the date of the payment that you're making? And you can put in our reference, so PLE demo 123. That way you'll see that when it comes through into Wise. What's the payment journal? Remember, we have payment journals, how much is being paid, and formula, which I'll come on to a little later. Now let's load in the supplier statement. So here's that supplier statement with over 1,000 lines in it. And as it's loading, you'll see down in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see the transactions are as they come in. And as each transaction is being imported, it's also being validated against the data in Wise. Now that all those lines have been imported, it only takes 15 seconds or so. We can see every transaction in the statement matched against the transactions we have in Wise. So in the left-hand pane here, under the supplier statement header, we can see the supplier invoice number, the supplier invoice date, description, and amount. That has come directly in off that spreadsheet that we saw earlier, or could have come in off XML or however else your supplier statement is provided. The middle section shows that data matched against what we have in Wise. So on the very first line, you can see that we do have the invoice number 108004 in our system. It's got our reference number 108215. It is an invoice in our system, but the statement value doesn't match their balance. We think we're only owed $28, and in their statement they've got $648. And down here we have on row 19, they have an invoice on their statement for $1,420, and we don't even have that at all in Wise. And a bit further here down, you can see all these not dues because the date of those invoices is older than the date that we've specified we want to pay up to. Of course, we could go and we can easily change that and say, well, let's pay everything up until 1st of September, and now all of those have become due or are open for us to pay. When we want to choose which invoices we would like to pay, we simply put a yes or a no in there, or type it in if you prefer. Let's pay those. We can pay a whole range if you want. Just highlight that, and using standard Excel functionality, you can choose to pay a lot of invoices very quickly and easily. Or if you don't want to pay all of those invoices, simply go in and delete it or put in a no. So having a look at what we have up there at the moment, we're paying $8,116, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 invoices to be paid. To create that payment in Wise is dead easy. Simply go across, click on Upload Payment, and that will check all the payments that we have got flagged in here to be uploaded, and it will push them through into Wise. Now it'll take a couple seconds to run, and now it's run. We can switch back into Wise and go through cash management, payment journals, where we were before, look at the general journal, and there's our PLE demo 123 payment that we just created in Excel. If we want to see what that was matched against, as before, we go into applied, and there's our 123 invoices. There is a neat feature within Wise where you can say show only those that are being applied against, and you can see that transaction for $8,116 has been uploaded into Wise for payment. How easy is that? Just touching on some of this functionality a little more and how it works. We've created it as an add-in. It's not a point solution. You can use this add-in on whatever spreadsheets you want. You can create your own templates, lay it out any way you want. And the way it works is there's the add-in will put a new Business Central menu option at the top on the toolbar in Excel, and it adds new formulas to Excel. So there are 2 formulas that are important for this. The first one is your AP payment formula. So it all starts with QWK. Quokka.Works is our development arm, and if we have a look at that formula, it says what company do we want to pay this out of, what type of journal do we want to use, and this is just pulling that information off the spreadsheet. What's the payment date, what's the vendor code, etc., and you populate the formula with the information that you want to create the header, the actual payment form. And then on each of the line items that you want to process into Wise, is a formula as well, and this is a really simple formula. It says what is the header transaction for this line, and so you point it back up into that header value up there, that header formula, and then you give it the document number that you're going to pay, and that's it. And when you click on Upload Payment, the system checks those formulas and pushes them into Wise. The add-in also provides a lot more information. So as you can see, there are several menu options. The system setup menu, for example, very easy to set up. You put in your tenant ID, which you get when you create a Wise system. What's the company within that tenant you're operating from? What is the system? Now, normally that would say production, but we've created a sandbox for this demonstration called PLE Computers, and this is a sandbox environment which you're welcome to test and play in as well. Who do you want to log in as, and various other things like let's test if the API works, to what level do we want to see logging information, do we want to see windows pop up with things as they happened, etc., etc., and we can put it in there. Also up on the top there, under transactions, these are where you can upload transactions. So instead of putting a button on the spreadsheet, if you just had the spreadsheet and you created it yourself and you didn't want to or don't know how to put a button on a spreadsheet, you put those formulas in and simply come here and select Update AP Payment, and it would have done the same thing. And we've created space holders to provide more functionality in the future for transactions and maintenance. We see this as a great way of adding new suppliers, new customers, transactions, etc., in the future. So this is just the beginning of a lot more functionality that we'll add to that add-in. However, We wanted to address the statement reconciliation challenge that you have at PLE Computers, so that is the first feature that we've added to it. I hope that is of some value. Please let me know what you think, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Bye now.